I've seen a lot of labs get burned by buying a brand new incubator that looks perfect on the catalog page, only to find that the temperature swings wildly when you actually try to grow a delicate cell line. The frustration is real, spending a few $1,000s on equipment that promises uniform heat, then watching your cultures die because the chamber can't keep up. That's why I wanted to break down the BenchMark scientific H250570 SureTemp Dual-Convection Incubator before you click Add to Cart. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about the kind of work environment where this machine makes sense. You're running a medium-sized research lab or a teaching facility that needs to keep dozens of plates, flasks, or small bioreactors at a steady temperature, typically around 37 C. But you also occasionally need to push the chamber up to 75 C for enzyme reactions or heat inactivation steps. You probably have limited bench space, so a 70-liter stainless steel chamber fits nicely beside a biosafety cabinet. If you're the kind of scientist who spends a good part of the day setting up experiments and then walking away, you need an incubator that doesn't require you to babysit it every hour. The H250570's biggest selling point is the dual convection system. Instead of a single fan blowing hot air across the chamber, BenchMark uses two independent convection fans that draw air in from opposite sides, creating a more even temperature field. In practice, that means you can load the chamber with a mixed stack of 6 well plates on the bottom shelf and a few large bottles on the top, and the temperature measured at each location will stay within a degree of the set point. I've heard from colleagues who use single-fan models that they had to rotate their plates every few hours just to keep the cultures from drifting into a cooler corner. With this dual convection design, you can essentially set it and forget it, which is a real time saver when you're juggling multiple experiments. Precision control up to 75 C is another feature that separates the SureTemp line from a lot of entry-level incubators. The digital controller lets you dial in temperature to 0.1 C increments, and the built-in SureCheck logger records the actual chamber temperature every minute. The logger plugs into the internal power outlet, so you don't have to run an extra cord to the back of the unit. The software that comes with it can generate a temperature trend graph that you can attach to your lab notebook or compliance report. For anyone who needs to demonstrate that a cell line was kept at a tight temperature range for a regulatory submission, that audit trail is priceless. It also helps you spot any drift before it becomes a problem, something you can't do with a cheap incubator that just flashes ON on the front panel. Now, let's be clear about who should really consider spending on this model. If you're a teaching lab that only needs a basic 37 C environment for bacterial plates, and you rotate the incubator weekly, you'll probably find the extra convection fans and logger to be overkill. A lower-priced, single-fan unit would meet your needs and free up budget for consumables. On the other hand, if you're a cell culture core facility that services dozens of researchers, runs time-sensitive differentiation protocols, or needs to maintain a temperature-sensitive enzyme reaction for a few hours, the added uniformity and data logging justify the price tag. Likewise, any lab that needs to run a 70-liter chamber at temperatures above the usual 55 C range, think heat shock protocols, or certain polymerase reactions, will benefit from the SureTemp's ability to hold 75 C without the chamber overheating or the control loop hunting. What about the downsides? The most obvious trade-off is the internal power outlet. It's convenient, but it also means the incubator's power draw is a little higher than a comparable single-fan model. You'll need a reliable outlet with a dedicated circuit, especially if you plan to run the logger and any external accessories at the same time. In a cramped lab where the power grid is already stretched, that could be a headache. The stainless steel chamber is solid and easy to clean, but it also conducts heat quickly, so you'll notice the outer surface staying warm to the touch during high-temperature runs. That's not a safety issue per se, but you do need to be mindful when opening the door after a 70 C cycle. Use heat-resistant gloves if you have anything delicate inside. Another practical consideration is the software interface. The program runs on a Windows-based laptop and pulls data via a USB cable. It's functional, but not exactly intuitive. The first few minutes involve figuring out where that export button lives. If you're not comfortable with a little bit of tech tinkering, you might spend a short afternoon learning the workflow. Once you get past that, though, the logs are clean and the graphs are easy to embed in a report. A point that sometimes gets missed in the spec sheet is the way the dual-convection fans affect humidity control. BenchMark's design does not include a built-in water pan, so you'll need to add a